arrest as many people that touch you as you want to. Those are the general orders all the way to the top. Everybody fucking gets it if they touch you. You hear what I'm saying? Yes, sir. Less legals. We're going to look at shipping tractor trailer loads of that shit in here. So you catch what it's all about us now. It ain't about them. Professional, legal, ethical, moral. You know what we're talking about. Legal, ethical, moral. You're on camera. But other than that, it's what we do.
What city is it, Chief?
Fucking Iris is Fire fucking City.
That's what I've heard.
All right, shalom, shalom, shalom. All praises to the Most High, Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai. That is to say in the Paleo-Hebrew, Yahweh, which is the name of our Heavenly Father, meaning He is. Bahashim, which means in the name. Yahweh Shai, which means He is our salvation. And those are the names of who the world ignorantly calls God, the Heavenly Father, and Jesus, His only begotten Son. All right? Now, what you saw was a clip of the Border Patrol Chief, Greg Bovino, giving his troops a pep talk or boosting up their morale, okay? But letting it be known to you that, hey, they're not playing or they're not looking to play by the rules if they don't have to, okay? Because he says, remember, you're on camera, but other than that, everything goes, okay? So this is what we're going to be up against, all right? Now, as we currently speak and talk and film this video, they're trying to pass a bill to continue the government, and part of that bill that they're trying to get is with the DHS, the Department of Homeland Security, and in it, they want certain aspects of the bill to be passed to where agents have to wear body cameras and they have to not wear a mask, okay? Because there's speculation that some of these ICE agents may be or are IDF soldiers, okay? Or at least, at bare minimum, ex-IDF soldiers, all right? And if you don't know what an IDF soldier is, just look at the AI overview right here, all right? Because I typed in IDF soldiers as ICE agents. And the AI overview from Google says, claims that you see the word Defense Forces, IDF, which is like a military. Soldiers are acting as U.S. Immigration and Custom Enforcement, which is ICE, agents, or that the IDF directly trains ICE agents are largely considered conspiracy theories, right? Because no one wants to state whether or not it's true until the inevitable, okay? Until you have concrete evidence. But what we telling you, that these, troops that's coming in and that's already here are that indeed those IDF soldiers, and not just them, but other nations as well, okay? And it's all biblical, all right? And we're going to get into it. We're going to touch on it a little bit. It says, or that the IDF directly trains ICE agents. And we see a lot of similarities, okay? Just look at Greg Bovino, all right? Now, I'm not saying for sure that he was or is or have any ties with any type of, IDF, the small hat defense forces. But who's to say he doesn't? Okay? And we know Trump, I almost said the word, but the small hats have him in his back pocket, all right? So it says, or that the IDF directly trains ICE agents. And just look at how, the IDF is engaging with those that's in Gaza, all right? You're going to see the same way. They're going to start to engage with you people over here in America. And especially you so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans, because they already got it out for us already, because now that we staking claim to we the people of the Holy Land and of the Holy Bible, they don't have nothing else to lose, because why? They've been made out, all right? So you can only imagine the propaganda that they're being lied to and preached to over there, for when they get sent over here, they'll be on go, all right? And who knows what other type of, militia groups that they got that's getting propaganda and stuff from over there to send over here to further fuel their Edomite blood to come after you so-called blacks, Latinos, Native Americans, all right? You Israelites. So this is the time, these are the times that we coming into. So it says, and are largely considered conspiracy theories and are not supported by evidence or, evidence of formal, operational, or institutional training programs, right? They're not going to put it out there for the whole world to know, okay? This is the prelude, or this is the warm-up to what's getting ready to actually go down, all right? Because from all understanding, I don't think they're going to pass that bill to avoid a partial shutdown, okay? Because they want to keep their identity as concealed as much as possible. And if that means taking off their mask or wearing a body camera like a regular officer, then I don't think, because I believe this whole government is in the back pocket of that state, of those small hats over there, all right? And they take orders from the higher ups, okay? So we're going to see how these things play out as the day unfolds going into the weekend, because it's reported, or it's expected, that there's going to be at least a partial shutdown, all right, over this. So we're going to see. It says, and are not supported by evidence of formal, operational, or institutional training programs, right? Because they're keeping it under hush, all right? They're not going to broadcast everything that they're doing for the whole public to see, all right? You got to understand, Esau, he does things behind closed doors, and then when it's right, he brings them out to the forefront. But sometimes he gets exposed before he can bring things out to the forefront. Hint, that's where you get the name whistleblower. All right? So it says, however, there is documented cooperation between U.S. and, you see the word, law enforcement. See? So now on one hand, it's a conspiracy theory, but on the other hand, if you can connect the dots together, it says, however, there is documented cooperation between the U.S., the United States of America, and the small hat law enforcement. And we knew that because there's a town in Brooklyn that have 44,000 of those small hatters up there that have their own police and everything else. All right? So it's not far-fetched to believe that you can have either current or ex-IDF soldiers that's acting or doing the duties of ICE agents, okay? And it's only going to amplify, all right, as the other nations get involved, all right? Such as Ham, Moab, so on and so forth. To come after who? You so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans, all right? That's what the street preaching is going to be for this Sabbath, all right? But it says U.S. and, you see the word, almost said it again, small hat law enforcement, which has led to accusations from activists regarding shared tactics. See? And you're going to see a lot of those tactics that, the IDF soldiers put off onto Gaza, those Palestinians, they're going to use over here in America, okay? It ain't going to be, no conspiracy theory shortly. It says key aspects of the relationship: no direct training, employment. The IDF does not train ICE agents, and there are no IDF boot camps or that word design circular for ICE. ICE agents are trained in the U.S. through federal law enforcement programs. Well, guess what? They have certain places that aren't privy to the public to what? To go into, okay? And it doesn't make any difference, you know, whether you have access to military bases where they train or not. All right. They already come here already trained to go. Okay. Deadly exchange allegations. Organizations like the J Voice for Peace allege that deadly exchange programs exist where high-ranking U.S. law enforcement officials, including ICE, travel to the Small Hats for seminars on counter, terrorism and surveillance techniques, which critiques argue promotes worse practices in racial profiling and surveillance. See? So things are really finna start to turn up and heat up in Babylon the Great, okay? You know, although this is projected to be the coldest weekend in a decade and more, it's finna start to heat up. Abaratazar, Father Will, okay? It says technology transfer. ICE has purchased surveillance and spyware technology such as cell phone hacking tools from, you see the company, the Small Hats, e.g. Celebrite Paragon. See? So there's too many, there's too many similarities to say that where there's smoke, there's fire. All right, there's too many similarities. Shared ideology and tactics. Critics argue that both ICE and the IDF share similar modulates, such as using militarized checkpoints. And I should have put that one in, which I think I'm going to put in, and show you that checkpoint. It says surveillance and, in some cases, arbitrary detention. Okay? Matter of fact, let me pause. Let me bring up this video, and then we'll get a few precepts, because this is a tactic that I see, and I wonder why it looked familiar. And now I see, after reading this, that it's a shared ideology and tactic of the IDF and ICE. So let's bring this up, and you be the judge for yourself.
Sir.
Good morning, officer.
Good morning.
Bright and early, huh?
Hey, sir. How you guys doing?
Good.
Hey,
Here.
good. Can you turn your car off?
It's been off.
Huh?
It's been off.
Okay, the keys?
I don't gotta give you the keys.
Yeah, you do.
No, I don't.
Yeah, you do. I'm asking for the keys.
For what?
ID?
I can put it on.
Ma'am, you're a U.S. citizen?
Yeah, look, I'm showing you my passport, ain't it?
Thank you.
Here you
Can I
go.
see it?
Yeah, go ahead.
What's your name, sir?
Jason.
Jason?
Yes, sir.
U.S. citizen?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You have ID?
Yes, sir.
Whose car is this?
Friend of mine. Borrowing it for work.
All right. Thank you, Melanie.
Yep. Anytime.
Why are you guys coming behind us like that?
Because we could just tell you guys were just watching us.
Well, actually, we
Well-
pulled in and he was staring at us. So.
Yeah. And
Staring
the
at
car-
We were already parked. You guys came after we came.
We were just driving in here. You guys were just there. But the car you're driving is you should have it registered in your name. Okay?
Look at this
Oh,
stupid
sure.
fuck.
Well,
I didn't know that.
yeah, because the registered owner is different from you.
Yeah.
Okay?
That's why I'm borrowing it.
I know,
Yeah.
but you don't have to say we were staring
Yeah,
at you.
we weren't
pulled
staring at
in and parked, and you were staring at us hard. So you
Yeah.
don't got to say that, all right?
I
And this
mean, I
car
have
is
the-
registered to
So,
someone who's
I have
We
the
can't-
free will to
we
look
can't
around,
stare.
right?
We didn't say that.
You can stay here.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Right, but
Right.
the car you're driving comes back to someone who has no status in this country. That's why we stopped.
That's
you.
why you're stopped.
Okay, that's fine.
We're not
But why are you
stopping
saying we were staring at y'all hard?
No, what was said was he said we pulled in and we were watching you guys. What I'm telling you is we pulled in and parked, and you guys were staring at us. So don't say we came in here looking for
Yeah,
you.
and then you
That's
guys
what you're
drive
making it
behind
seem
us
like.
which
We-
is suspicious as well.
Oh, now where the suspicious
There's no
was.
suspicion.
That's
Okay,
fine.
well, I mean, it's fine.
That's fine. Y'all can
you guys
have a
are-
good day.
Yeah, you guys too. Have a good day.
You too.
Thank you.
Thank you. Give me your keys, bitch. Fuck that. Get the plug from behind too.
I know I can't move.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Get stupid fucks. Now they weren't as vagos. Look at
Hell
them.
no, because they already know.
Right.
They know the game. Let's get that one on your right. I'll get this one.
Bye, stupid bitch. The fuck?
So if they ain't here at bare minimum, their tactics are here, okay? So if the IDF soldiers aren't here, as it says, a conspiracy theory, at bare minimum, their tactics are, okay? And that's all they want you to be aware of, is the tactics, okay? Because under this administration, you're going to see a lot more of these checkpoints and everything else, and it's all biblical, all right? So let's go there, and let's get into it. So this is Ecclesiasticus chapter 12 and verse 10, all right? Because we got to understand that it says, and it warns us, never trust thy enemy, for like as iron rusteth, so is his wickedness. See? So this is why you got to do everything that's asked and required of you from Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai, all right? Because this devil is just waiting for one slip up, all right? And you got to make sure you got everything up to code and up to date when you out and about and you using his roles or what have you, okay? Because one thing, as we seen in that video, you having a friend car that isn't a citizen can cause them to what? Stop you and pull you over, all right? So you got to make sure you got everything, all right? You got to move with a purpose. You got to have your head on a you got to have your head on a swivel. You got to be circumspectly, all right? Make sure everything when you travel, because you got these sovereign citizens that think they can just travel and use Esau's roads in his vehicles and not register their license and have things up to date. And then when they get stopped and pulled over, they want to play like, they live in another country or something, all right? They known as sovereign citizens. That ain't going to roll, especially in the times we getting ready to come up, all right? These IDFs and these other troops from other nations, they ain't going to play that shit, man, all right? We seen what happened or allegedly happened to Renee Cole Goodman, okay? All they going to say is you wouldn't, stop. You try to take off, and next thing you know, they fear for their life. And because they got immunity, you took 2 to the head, okay? So never trust thy enemy, for like as iron rusteth, so is his wickedness, okay? Because they getting ready to take it to a whole new level, all right? No longer are you going to come across your American law enforcement officers. You're gonna be coming across agents and individuals from other parts of the world, okay, that don't hold the same value as these Americans do here in Babylon the Great, all right? And just itching to get their first American under their belt, okay? Especially now that they have immunity. So you want to make sure you're doing everything that the Lord asked and required of you so that day doesn't happen. So never trust thy enemy, for like as iron rusteth, so is his wickedness. See? He's itching to get that first, knot or notch in his belt that he can come over here and write back to his boys, you know what? I took out me an American. And you know what? Make it even better. I took out me one of those black Americans, one of those Spanish Americans. See? You got to make sure everything you do is well within the law, statutes, and commandments. And you got to do what's asked of this devil and go by his rules as well. All right? As long as they're not going against the rules of the Heavenly Father, because he set them up. All right? The Lord set this man up. All right? Let's go there. That's Romans. And you got to go by the rules of the land until they contradict the word of the Heavenly Father. Romans chapter 12. (13). This is Romans 13 and verse 1. It says, let every soul be subject unto the higher powers, for there is no power but of the Most High. The powers that be are ordained of the Most High. Whosoever therefore resisteth the power resisteth the ordinance of the Most High. And they that resist shall receive to themselves damnation. So the Most High set this man up, okay? And in doing so, he allowed him to rule for this certain period of time, all right? And he has rules that in order for you to function in his society, you have to go by. All right. Now, albeit they're not fair, but they still must be respected in the sense that you can't break them and think that nothing's going to happen to you because you do. Because if not, the Most High gave this man that, that power, that will to do something about it. It says, for rulers are not a terror to good works, but to the evil. Wilt thou then not be afraid of the power? Do that which is good, and thou shalt have praise of the same. See? So as long as you're doing what you're supposed to do, he ain't got no real reason to come after you. All right? But when you going off and you doing your own thing, and you think you above the law, well, guess what? You just open up that gate for him to come through, and whatever the spirit be is whatever the spirit be. All right? If the Lord put a spirit created for vengeance on that individual to take you out, guess what? That's going to be your lot. It says, for he is the minister of the Most High to thee for good. But if thou do that which is evil, be afraid, for he beareth not the sword in vain. See? So we coming into some real times where, hey, doing what's asking required of you from Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shai is going to go a long way. All right? And understanding that the Lord set this man up for a specific reason, and doing so, if you go off, that could very much well be your demise. All right? But you still have to go by his laws, because why? The Lord set him up. Okay? As long as they're not going against the word of the Heavenly Father, you're good. Okay? Having your car registered, that's part of the law. Okay? It might not seem fair, but guess what? It's not unreasonable to make sure you have up-to-date insurance. Make sure you have up-to-date license. Make sure you have, your registration. If you're going to travel, okay? Don't try to be this Jake where you make it hard, because then you're going to wind up making it hard on yourself, man. I know my rights. Why do I have to show you my ID? What crime have I committed? Man, just give up your ID, okay? This is part of being in captivity, all right? We're subject to payments, okay? If the officer asks you for your ID, why make it harder on yourself, all right? These laws and ordinances, they weren't written for us anyways, okay? We just trying to navigate our way throughout a wicked society, all right? And the Bible gives us the instructions on how to do so. And so that's why it says in Romans 12:18, if it be possible, as much as lieth in you, live peaceably with all men. See? So why make it harder on yourself? If you got a valid ID, what's the reason? Because you're going to run your name through a database to see whether or not you got warrants? Okay, well, if you ain't got warrants, who cares? Well, it's infringing on my rights, brother. You ain't got no damn rights. We in captivity, man. All right? We in captivity. All right? We just trying to get home to our families, man. At the end of the day, we just trying to make it back safe to our abode. All right? So don't make things harder on yourself than it has to be, because this devil, he's already out looking. So back to Ecclesiasticus chapter 12 and verse 10, it says, never trust thy enemy, because this devil, he's lurking and waiting on you to slip up. That's why you got to be on point. It says, for like as iron rusteth, so is his wickedness. Though he humble himself and go crouching, yet take good heed and be aware, or beware of him. And thou shalt be unto him as thou hast wiped a looking glass, and thou shalt know that his rust have not been altogether wiped away. See? So you got to make sure, you doing everything that the Lord asks and requires from you to the best of your ability. And then this devil won't have anything to hold over on you. All right? He'll let you go. You'll be on your way. And that's it. Okay? That's it. We too close to the end for people to start reverting back to those 1960 methods and 50s and 70s where you going to come up against the oppression and rise up and we shall overcome and all that and all this. No, man. We moving strategically out here, all right? We moving according to what the word says, all right? Until that time comes, okay? So this is where we at with it, all right? They got more than likely IDF soldiers or tactics, and they're putting them into place here in America, Babylon the Great, because eventually they're going to come after the elect, all right? That's what they really want to come down to it. They want to come down and get the elect, all right? They want to get the Israelites, and then they hoping that out of the Israelites, they can scoop up some of the elect, which they are, all right? Because it's going to be for a testimony of Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahweh Shai. But, hey, we don't want to give them no much. We don't want to give them no more fuel for the fire than we have to, all right? Because they already coming down, as it says in 2nd Ezra 15. And what is that? 17, a man shall desire to go into a city and shall not be able. See, that's one of the tactics they're going to have and use, that you must have proper identity, okay? Whether it's a passport, whether it's a driving license, what have you, you got to have it. All right, starting February 1st, all domestic flights here in America, you're going to have a real ID or pay a $45 fee to travel. Okay, you know what it is. If you want to use this man's services, get in line or pay the fee. Don't do anything that's going to cause attention to yourself and get you examined and taken to a back room, and then you got some type of warrants or something that you thought you had cleared up and it ain't cleared up, and now you got to sit and spend the weekend or whatever locked up, man. It's just a matter of moving in the spirit, okay? We're coming into some very tumultuous times. You don't want to do anything that's going to jeopardize you being locked up or taken away from your family if you have one, all right? Move in the spirit, all right? So a man should desire to go into a city and should not be able, because why? There are going to be restrictions. All right. And eventually it's going to be that RFID microchip that dictates whether or not you can go or come or leave. All right. But by that time, all bets are off, man. We're no longer on this man's grid. All right. We're living according to the word of the Heavenly Father. All right. And those are going to be the times when you see miracles being performed for the elect. Now, here to 2nd Ezra 16. Speaking on those soldiers and the tactics, it's the 2nd Ezra 16 in verse, because these are the times that we in right now. All right, the stage is being set. It's 2nd Ezra 16 and 71. They shall be like madmen, sparing none. See? Once the Lord put that spirit on them, which is already on them, but once he turns it up on them, they're not going to care at that time whether or not you got ID, whether you got a passport. See, right now, they're buying their time right now. They're stopping you, just giving you a headache. But in this time, they ain't going to care whether or not you got a passport. All right? They already know what they're going to be looking for. All right? They're going to be looking to what? It says, they shall be like madmen, sparing none, but still spoiling and destroying those that fear the Lord. They're going to be looking for you so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans. You're going to be on their what? On their radar. All right? And whatever the spirit that the Lord put on them to do at that time, whether it's to take you out or to take you in, that's going to be the end result. It says, where we at? They should be like madmen, sparing none. And I always forget 68 before I come to 71. But it says, for behold, the burning wrath of a great multitude is kindled over you. See, that burning wrath is kindling. All right? They can't wait. Okay? And you see Jake, man. Another thing, you're going to have to keep your woman in check, man. All right? You're going to have to keep your woman in check in these type of situations, man. she can be a liability to you. She could be a liability to you in those type of situations, man. You gotta let her know I'm the man in charge. All right. I'll do the talking. Okay. Cause that type of talking, especially, a lot of these Edomites, they come from a time where, women was in line. So it ain't gonna be nothing for them in that time. To slap her in her face, take her out the car, and all that could have been avoided if she would have got under your tutelage and head and just fell back and let you do the talking. If you a man of the Lord's gonna work through you. See? Here it is, she talking. I can't stare at y'all. That's unnecessary. That's stoking their fire, man. I can't stare at you. See? You got to understand, these devils are moving in a different direction, man. We not talking about your local law enforcement, man. We talking about entities from other places in the world that's coming here to American soil, all right? And they're hiding behind that mask and not being held accountable through what? The advent of video camera, their video camera or video footage in all of their interactions with the people, which is why they're trying to get that passed now in the bill to avoid a partial government shutdown. Okay? So this is where we at with it. Going into the weekend. Okay? So we got to stay vigilant and be prepared. Let's go ahead and wrap it up and close out. Didn't want to go that far, but hey, we kind of had to. So this is 1 Peter chapter 5 and verse 8. It reads, be sober, be vigilant. Why? Because your adversary, the devil, as a roaring lion, that same lion that we read, never trust thy enemy, walketh about seeking whom he may devour. Right? Because that kindling fire is being burned within him. All right? He already feel. We seen the first video when one of his officers said, what are we going to do? And he said, I'm going to take back the city. That's what they about. They going to take back their country though. All right? Which was never theirs to begin with. But because of the lies and the propaganda that they was fed to, they believe it, and now they ready. They believe Trump is going to be the one that allows them to take back their city and country. MAGA, make America great again. This is what it's all coming down to, all right? Making America great again in their eyes, okay? And in their eyes, America was great when Jake was underneath their foot, okay? So we here, all right? And it's only going to intensify, Lord willing. So be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary, the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about seeking whom he may devour. So with that being said, pray some more of us edified through this lesson. And until the next time, if it be the Lord's will, Yahweh Bahashim Yahweh Shai, stay strong, stay in the faith. We're almost home. Shalom. Peace.